Hi, 7th grade. Today we're moving on to 1.6. 1.6 is a little bit review and a little bit new. We're combining some rules we went over previously with rational numbers. So today we're going to be adding and subtracting rational numbers, which is on page 33. So the rules that we need to remember are from 1.2. 1.2. When the signs are the same, we add the integers. When the signs are different, we subtract the integers. Remember that the answer here depends on the largest number, right, when they're different, okay? And then if we're talking about positive, right, picture that number line, right? That means you're moving to the right on the number line. And if we're subtracting, if it's negative, we're talking about moving left on the number line. So again, some quick review for our first example. A negative plus a negative, okay? So we have -5 plus -5. So these signs are the same, a negative and a negative. So when the signs are the same, we add. So a -5 and a -5 is a -10. The answer is the same sign as what was in the problem, okay? And that makes sense, right? I often talk about using negatives as borrowing. If you borrowed $5 from your buddy and then you borrowed 5 more, you now owe him 10. Okay. All right, for B, we have a -6 plus 7. Okay, so this is two different signs, right? We have a negative here, and then we have a plus sign, which is a positive. It's being used as a positive. So because these signs are different, one is negative and one is positive, we're going to subtract these two numbers. So the difference between these two is 1. The answer is positive because 7 was the biggest number and it was positive. So our answer stays positive, right? For C, this is one I don't think we went over in our examples last time. They did have information in the book, but I wanted to be sure that we went over one together, okay? Here we have -3 minus -3. You see that? So in math, a lot like English, you can't have a double negative, okay? It means the opposite of the opposite. So when we have a double negative, it turns into a plus sign, okay? So we're going to put that over here. Double negative. Right, so that's anything that looks like negative, negative, and then a number, any number. It means a positive, okay? The two, it's like two lines make a plus sign. So anytime you have this double negative here, the sign turns positive. So if I was to rewrite this, I still have a -3 from the beginning, okay? But then the two negatives turn into a positive, so I just have a +3. Which makes sense because here we have -3 minus the opposite, right? So we have the double negative. The opposite is plus. And a -3 plus 3, these are opposites, right? And so we get 0. Okay, this would mean we go left on the number line 3 spaces, and then we would turn around and go right 3 spaces back to 0. All right, so I hope this makes sense. I know this part might feel new, but today you're not going to be working with these pretty whole numbers. You're going to be adding in these rational numbers. Okay, so we have some decimals and fractions. So I know the whole page isn't fitting well, but I just want to focus on one at a time anyway. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the right screen for the problem. Okay, so we're going to start with A. We've got negative 6.25 plus negative 8.55 is what that says. So I notice right away that they're both negative, right? And when the signs are the same, I can add them. That's what the rule says. So I'm just going to set these up, right? And I remember that when negative, I have decimals, I have to line them up. I have to line up those decimals. And I'm adding them even though there's negatives. So 5 and 5, carry. I've got 8 and then 14. And it's a negative because when the signs are the same, the answer stays the same. It has the same sign as the problem, okay? So for A, I get negative 14.8. For B, I have fractions, and luckily for me, they already have a common denominator. But I noticed that my first one, 4 and 3/5, is positive, and my second one is negative. And when the signs are different, I need to subtract them. So I'm going to set this up, 4 and 3/5 minus 3 and 2/5, because I need to find the difference. 3 minus 2 is 1. The denominator stays the same. 4 minus 3 is 1. So my answer for B is 1 and 1/5. 4 was my bigger number and it was positive, so my answer is positive. Okay, let's take a look at this last one, C. C is a decimal. I've got 4.35 minus negative 8.27. I do have a positive and a negative, but before I get going on that, I see that I have this double negative. This double negative, I can't do it. I can't do any math until I fix it, okay? So two lines, these two lines with nothing in between make a plus sign. So if I rewrite my problem, I have 4.35 plus 8.27. So it's just a typical addition problem. I'm going to line up my decimals. I just brought this underneath so I didn't have to rewrite the whole thing. And when I add carefully, carrying when I'm supposed to, I get 12.662. Okay, so C is 12 and 62/100ths. All right, for homework tonight, I hope you got all that in your notes. And if not, please rewind, pause, take the time you need, because I do want you to send me a picture of these notes. But for homework today, you're going to be jumping on IXL. So if you haven't used that before, I do have all of the usernames and passwords. I did send them out to emails that were from last year, so I'm not sure if you get them or maybe your parents get them, but you can also just put a message on this assignment link and I can send you your username and password. So that way you can log in and get started. Thanks, guys. Good luck.